So MPs just pulled rank on the Madlanga Commission just to remind the Commission we are the boss here. In this video, I'm going to show you what this tug of war is about. But if you stay with me right up until my biblical reaction, this is going to be a very, very important video on our journey. Guaranteed, South Africa will prosper. You ready? Okay, press like and let's go. This is what happened.
So, should KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi be subpoenaed to appear before the parliamentary ad hoc committee investigating allegations he made of corruption and political interference in the criminal justice system? This is what the members of parliament debated yesterday. Remember, Mkhwanazi is currently consulting with the evidence leaders from the Madlanga Commission ahead of that anticipated start next week on the 17th of September. He has since told the parliamentary inquiry that the Madlanga Commission has locked him in until the 22nd or 24th of September, meaning he would only be available to come to the committee after that date. But the EFF leader, Julius Malema, is unhappy about this.
There is nothing that stops Mkhwanazi from coming to us. You have now created an impression that this commission is bigger than us, and we as parliament must be going to the commission. The commission people never say, let's go to parliament to hear what that parliament is saying. But because you are scared, you feel so inferior, you don't know what you are doing. You want to be checking with the commission because you can't stand on your own. So we maintain that Mkhwanazi must be subpoenaed. And a person who doesn't appear before your committee won't say to you, I want to appear before your committee, hey, and I'm defying. Where have you ever had that? They are going to give you all manner of reasons. And one of the reasons is the reason we're given. No, I'm busy with these other people. A person postpones you without a date of a commission and agree to appear to a commission which does not have a date. It only announced the date a few days ago. And you accept that as being reasonable.
Well, the DA's Glynnis Breytenbach had this to say.
It's not essential, Chairperson. It's only ideal. If we can't have him, and we start with somebody else, we know what he's going to say. He's going to say what he said at the press conference. If he says anything different to that, that's problematic. So it's not as if we're working in the dark. We know what he's going to come and say. And so while it is ideal to start with him, if it means that we're going to be held up for weeks and months, then I would suggest that we forego that ideal situation and start with someone else. Because we can't keep on postponing and postponing and postponing. We're going to already have to ask for an extension as it is. If we don't get started before late October or November, that's going to be a real problem. I'm happy to work, as I've said before, on public holidays, on weekends. That's not an issue. You may find that other people are not so happy to work. So, bearing in mind that we have a job to do and we need to get it done, we may have to reconsider the order in which we call witnesses.
The chair of the parliamentary inquiry, Soviet Lkhanyani, then announced the final decision.
We have taken a decision that the route to subpoena General Mkhwanazi is not desirable, given the reasons that have been advanced by committee members that General Mkhwanazi is not refusing to appear before the committee. Unfortunately, he finds himself in the situation that he is because both arms of the state, parliament and the executive, have appointed an ad hoc committee and a commission respectively, which makes his life as a citizen of this republic very, very difficult. So we will wait, honorable members, for General Mkhwanazi to be available to appear before the committee.
So that's the final decision that was taken by the chair of the committee. But don't you get part of Malema's point? I mean, I don't entirely agree that Mkhwanazi must be subpoenaed. As the chair said, it's not like he's refusing to appear before the ad hoc committee. He's just been locked until the Madlanga inquiry is done with him, and he was booked by the Madlanga inquiry first. But there's a bigger question here about which inquiry is more important in the context of accountability and who has the authority and power to hold public officials accountable. The parliamentary inquiry should take precedence here. It shouldn't be seen as junior or inferior to the Madlanga Commission. One, because it's Parliament that's constitutionally obligated to hold the executive and the public officials accountable, not the Madlanga Commission. Remember what Advocate Matthew Chuckleson, senior counsel, said, who is one of the evidence leaders at this Madlanga inquiry?
All that we can do is make a recommendation to the President. Our recommendation doesn't bind the President, it doesn't bind the people in respect of whom we make those recommendations or make those findings. So essentially the function of this body is to conduct a public hearing for the purposes of making recommendations to the President. We don't make findings that are binding. The President, we hope, will act on recommendations that are made, but our recommendations are not binding on the President or indeed on anybody else.
So the Madlanga Commission's findings are not binding, and it can only make recommendations to the President, who is not forced to implement those recommendations. So if the President doesn't implement the recommendations of the Commission, he hasn't broken any law. But Parliament, on the other hand, has no choice but to vote on a report that comes out of the ad hoc committee and also implement it. And if it votes against an ad hoc committee report, you can also take that to court, because decisions of Parliament can be challenged. Whether MPs vote in support or against the report, that decision must still be rational. Remember the Nhlanhla judgment, that was the precedent that was set. So again, I ask then, if that really is the case, if there are more chances of there being accountability through a parliamentary process rather than a commission of inquiry, why then are we not saying Konazi must prioritize the parliamentary inquiry?
I agree with Clement Manyatela's framing of this, absolutely. Parliament ranks higher than a commission of inquiry. And a commission of inquiry can be used to undermine Parliament, but it's great that Parliament is putting its foot down. And I'm in agreement with the fact that they've made a decision not to sweat the small stuff, okay? The guy is coming and his excuse is reasonable. Okay, so I think they've come to a reasonable agreement to say, Mkhwanazi, finish there, and on the 24th, come back and we'll get you, or we'll start with someone else. That is reasonable. Let's hear your comments below. Now, here's a report that was put out in 2023 September called State of Parliament and its MPs, Identifying Oversight Challenges and Proposing Solutions. It was put out by the Public Affairs Research Institute. So I'm not going to bore you by reading through the document. So this is what it talked about. It tried to figure out how well Parliament and MPs oversee the executive. The executive is the president and ministers and deputy ministers. So they went through legal documents, reports, the Zondo Commission, and observed how parliamentary committees function. And they came to the point that there are two ways that oversight happens. The first one is explain yourself, which means I ask a question and you tell me. That's fine. That happens at those really irritating Q&A sessions like the one in our recent video here. But there's also a mandatory accountability, which means they can get to push the executive to make changes when things are going wrong. So they can say, since this is happening like this, do it like that, and let's see you in 3 months and make sure you've changed and fixed that. And they have formal powers to summon people, to demand documents, and all of that. So that's what oversight is. Now, what they found is that some portfolio committees were doing a good job, but others were just going through the motions, just ask question, get an answer, get out, move on. And often these committees just review reports and allow the executive to make presentations, and they don't really grill them after that. So one of the reasons was that there's political pressure in Parliament, because the ANC, of course, had a gun to the head of their MPs to say, you protect the party or else. Now remember, every member of Parliament is a member of the people. So Tokoti Diza is an ANC member, but she is your speaker. That's why they are member of Parliament, not member of political party. All 400 of them work for you and they should not be working for their party. They should work for you on behalf of their party, even the party you didn't vote for. But under ANC time, and Zondo Commission report was very clear, state capture was enabled by Parliament. The Constitutional Court said the same thing. Zuma and Nhlanhla was the fault of Parliament because ANC parliamentarians never worked for the people, they worked for their party. So Parliament has to almost relearn how to walk from a long time of being a useless institute. So literally our Parliament is a month-old baby. They are a toddler Parliament. They also found that there was lack of resources and support, not having technical expertise, research staff, and legal advice. They also found that there's limited time where they let a minister do a presentation for an hour when there's an hour and a half, so that you only get to ask questions in the last 30 minutes. And some MPs lack skill. Some of them just didn't prepare so that they come in ready, hit hard. Now we've begun to see some MPs doing very awesomely. Also, there was high turnover so that you have new MPs who don't really know what's been going on. And also having oversight with no consequences, right? Shouting at someone is not a consequence. Saying this is bad is not a consequence. You need a consequence. So that was the problem with Parliament. We expect you to give the consequences on our behalf, not be Mr. Nice Guy. If you want to be Mr. Nice Guy, please go work in a nursery school. In Parliament, we have you there because you must grill them, get to the truth, and make sure there are consequences. So this is also the problem, that we've had a Parliament that was bad with consequences, and this report is 2023. So what is the solution that they gave? Well, the solutions are obvious. Get more legal advice, get all of that done and everything that you saw. But one of their very important ones was this: public participation. For public to participate, because Parliament works for you. Parliament is your employee. Parliament are your eyes, your ears, your mouth over government. And that civil society must monitor what Parliament does or fails to do. And I believe this is very important, and it's probably one of the things Parliament is not used to because it is only a few months old. But we've got to help Parliament to grow up, first of all, and know who their real boss is. They lived under the lie of Thabo Mbeki, Jacob Zuma's Cyril Ramaphosa Part 1, that their boss was the ANC. No. Your boss is the person listening to me now. If you agree, go to the comments and type, "I'm the boss." Now, here's where we are, and I wanted to update you. On the 18th to the 20th of July, many of you made a submission to Parliament about leave of absence, about the national dialogue, and about how the president was using commissions against the National Assembly, that is Parliament. And as far as I know, you were blue ticked. Now, as far as I know, your Parliament has blue ticked you since the 18th till today. Now, do we escalate? I don't think that's necessary, because as much as they may have blue ticked you on the leave of absence, actually that's on the terms of reference of the ad hoc committee. So there's been action. On the national dialogue, we know how Appropriations Committee Chair Dr. Musi Maimane went and demanded money, and they brought the money down. And there's an upcoming meeting somewhere in September to talk further and make the national dialogue accountable. Number 3, President using commissions against the NA. Well, the drama we are watching now with Julius Malema unreasonably saying, "Don't you dare tell us to wait for the commission. We the boss." There's activity, and there's been much more activity that I have seen since the 18th to the 20th of July. Then hundreds of you put in a parliamentary submission about the ANC getting about 40% of the vote, but having 71% of cabinet. That can't be right. And you've gone to Parliament to say, please get him to explain and do something about it. As far as I know, so far you have been blue ticked. I don't know about you, but I don't like being blue ticked. Should we escalate? I suggest this is what you do. If you go down to the bottom of the video, you'll find right at the bottom there that there's a thank you for the 18 to 20 July action. That says, thank you that you've pretty much acted on everything we were concerned about at that time. And ask them, please acknowledge my second email. And to make things easy, we also saying, just send an acknowledgement to this one email, because then I can let you know by email or on videos, so you know it's been acknowledged, and we'll go step by step from then, because they have taken action, and that's worth applauding. All the parties, many MPs have acted on what you had raised in that letter. So it's good to say thanks. And now request an acknowledgement of the 15 to 31, because we can go two ways. We can sit, watch our country go down the drain, say nothing, or we can do something, take an action, and see it turn around. And we are not letting our country go down, because South Africa will do what now? Tell somebody to tell somebody. So you can go to the bottom, find that email that gets that done. My biblical reaction is this: it was used in a certain context, but the principle applies that for everyone practicing evil hates the light and does not come to the light, lest his deeds should be exposed. But he who does the truth comes to the light, that his deeds may be clearly seen. So as we hold a parliament accountable, as parliament holds the executive accountable, and the executive is up to shenanigans like ignoring your vote, which you stood in queues for 5 hours, those shenanigans will try avoid the light. But this will not go down quietly in the dark, in the back, unless you don't mind 3 hours of waiting at some school that you don't attend, standing in a long queue for a long time, and maybe that means nothing to you, do nothing. But if that matters to you, then go down, send that email saying thank you, but please let me know you got this. And we're only going to one email, so that in case they don't respond, because it will take long to respond to 700 people. So I still hope we can get 1,000 emails going in saying thank you, but please acknowledge that email, so that they can come back and say, okay, we got the email and we'll try talk about it on this day through this committee. Then we'll say, thank you for your service, madam. Thank you for your service, sir. So go down to the bottom, 1,000 of us, let's send it. What's also awesome is when you've done sending it, go to your social media and post. If they ask how did that work, you send them the link of this video. Let's have 1,000 people say thank you, because listen, we have a parliament that would have done nothing. We've lived through 30 years of a parliament that would not have stood up to the Madlanga Commission, that would have not questioned the leave of absence formally on terms of reference, that would have not gone through with an ad hoc committee into the Mkhwanazi allegations, that would have not done any of this. We've had 30 years of it. So the fact that they deserve a thank you. But we don't like being blue ticked. So we'll get an acknowledgement too. So you go down, you copy it, you send it, then you go to the post that's on this channel, find it, go and put it up on your social media. If you're on X, tag Parliament, tag everyone that's relevant to it and say, I've just sent an email asking for this. This cannot stand. If we don't do it, then who must do it? If not you, then who? And if not today, then when? And so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Myself and all our team thanks you. So, no man can serve two masters. Either you love the one or hate the other, despise the one and honor the other. You cannot serve both God and Karl Marx. So, let's make history together. Cheers.